This video, we will try and understand what are the causes and consequences which lead to the World War II. Along with this, we will discuss what were the allied countries and Axis powers. Moreover, we will answer the question who was Adolf Hitler and his political ideology. Moreover, we will discuss the cascading events which took place in the World War II. So without further ado, let's dive into deep. First of all, if you are not aware of the World War I, then I will suggest you to watch the video. The link is down below. On the other hand, the Treaty of Versailles is as important as the World War I. So the links are down below. Watch that and come here again. Let's look at the map. Here you can see that these are the central parts: Germany, Austria, Hungary, Bulgaria, Ottoman Empire. This is a map of 1918. These are the central parts. These are the central countries which fought in the World War I, and they took the they lost that war. And at the end of the World War I, Germany and its allied countries defeated and held solely responsible for the war, and they have to pay the heavy sanctions. The heavy sanctions were imposed upon them. But after the World War I and after the Treaty of Versailles, the situation entirely became changed. As we know that the Germany was put under the sanctions, and many much more territory was grabbed by other countries, other victor countries. So you can see over here the Ottoman Empire in Austria-Hungary were dismantled. The Turkey was formed, and in the Austria-Hungary, the Austria was separated by the Hungary. Czechoslovakia was formed, Yugoslavia, Romania, and the much part of the Germany was given to the Poland. So the Germany pay unreasonable debt. Some of its territory was ceded to victors and to the Poland. And in 1923, devaluation of the Germany currency caused the hyperinflation. That was a nightmare for the Germans, but the German took their steps further, and the certain measures were taken to stabilize their economy. Now, if we look at the causes of World War II, so here are certain causes mentioned. Rise of militarism in Japan, as Japan was extending its territory, so the military is required, is the prerequisite for that. So the Japan was extending its military. So, and unjust treaty of Versailles, because all the blame was put under upon the Germany. So unjust treaty of Versailles. Imperialism, because that was the era of imperialism, nationalism, the one for one country and hate for other. Dictatorship in Germany, Japan, and Italy also caused the World War II. Failure of League of Nations. This was the league. This I have already made the video on League of Nations. If you're not aware of that, watch that. Rise of Hitler and National Socialist Party. These are certain causes mentioned over here are considered that prime causes which lead to the World War II. Now we are going to put glimpse upon who was Hitler. So everybody, I think, is aware of the Hitler. He became the Chancellor of Germany in January 1933. What he did, he overthrew the sanctions. As we already are aware of, in the Treaty of Versailles, certain sanctions were put under the Germany. Germany has to follow this. The Rhineland, the area in the Germany, was demilitarized. It means Germany cannot hold control of its region. But the Adolf Hitler sent its military again over there, and the remilitarization occurred. And he overthrew sanctions in the shape of that he made his air force, his army, and he become very strong in acquiring the artillery guns and machinery, new technology in the weaponry world. He possessed anti-Semitic mindset, means anti-Jewish mindset. He considered that his race, Aryan race, is the superior of other races. And when he became the chancellor, what he did, he ordered the Jews to have their mark, that type of the mark you can see over here, that is the mark, that type of the war, to make that mark on their hands. After that, he did not just stop there. He took extensive and tedious labor from the Jews, which leads to death of many Jews, and those alive were sent to gas chamber, where poisonous gas ultimately killed them. So at the end of the day, he murdered almost 60 million Jews, slaves, European people, and in the history that is the known as the Holocaust. If we look forward, then if we look at the political ideology of the Adolf Hitler, so he possessed the nationalist, fascist, and racial supremacy based political ideology. What happened? What was his fate? He suicided with his wife due to the fall of Berlin at the end of the USSR. This is the thing that we are going to discuss in the events of in the what are the events which happened in the World War II. There were two military alliances, allied countries and the Axis powers. UK, France, USA, USSR, China, Poland, Yugoslavia, Greece were part of the allied countries, and the Axis power, Nazi Germany, Fascist Italy, and Japan Empire was included in the Axis powers. So these were the two military alliances. Now let's look at the events which took place in the World War II. Starting from the very first, as I already mentioned that the Japan was trying to expand its territory, its military as well, because it is the country you can see in the map. It is the country beside the beside the China, and it has already won. It has already fought multiple battles, multiple wars against the China. These are known as the Sino-Japan War One, Sino-Japan War Two, which was fought in 1930, which was fought in 1937. Some scholars say that that is the time from when the World War II actually ignited, but as we are aware of that, actually the World War II started from the 1st September 1939 and August 1945, when Germany and the USSR secretly decided to assault Poland, and the Poland's allies were the France and the UK. They also came into the war, and in this way the war was ignited. Some scholars say that that is the prime reason that the World War II was placed in the world. Coming toward this point, as we already discussed, the remilitarization of Rhineland in Germany by Adolf Hitler, and the Germany made his two alliances, Rome and Berlin Axis, and Germany and Japan Pact, and they become later these three countries aligned together, and they solidarity won for each other. In the 1939 annexation of Austria and Czechoslovakia by Germany. In 1939, entire Czechoslovakia was captured by the Germany, but these acts by the Germany was highly neglected, ignored by the powerful countries at the time, Britain and France, which lead the Adolf Hitler to acquire the Poland as well, and the Germany and USSR made the pact known as the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, and they together assault the Poland, and they divided the Poland into two, one for the Germany and one for the USSR. Behind the Poland, France and UK, England were backing the Poland. They were allies of the Poland, so they also came into the war, and in this way the war was erupted in the country. After that, in 1940, Germany did not stop over there as well. Germany invaded the France. He fall of the Paris. After that, Britain came into the war. So, what is the reason that the Germany, which was under the sanctions and repercussions, already lost a lot of economy, lost the World War One? Why it becomes so much advanced that he easily fall the France, the capital of the, he easily fall the Paris, the capital of the France. That was due to his military and techniques of blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg means that he was attacking at multiple fronts. Along with this, blitzkrieg army was very fast and mobile army. That was the trench war. In this war, that was not any case of trench war. Therefore, the many artillery guns and the air force have been discovered, and technology was so fast in that era that there was no need of trenches, but there was the mobile army and fast network, and therefore the Germany won that. In the 1941 invasion of Soviet Union in June 1941 by Germany is known as the Operation Barbarra. Barossa. That is known as the Operation Barbarossa. Actually, what happened that when the Germany acquired the land in the Poland, he further tried to invade the USSR because it was the great amount and it was the highest powerful country. USSR, the Soviet Union, was powerful country. So the Germany gathered much of its military and much of its soldiers as well, and started the Operation Barbarossa and invaded the Soviet Union. In the initial phase, he acquired the success, but at the end, because the Soviet Union is vulnerable to the ice, to the air, and there is the high amount of the winter seasons, and you cannot bear that. So the soldiers retreat from that. But until that, the Germany was winning that war. On the other hand, what the Japan did, Japan dropped the bomb in the Pearl Harbor. These are the military bases in the USA. Japan bombed over there, dropped the bomb over there in December 1941, which led the USA to come into the war. Then USA declared the war against the Axis powers, and Axis powers showed solidarity and declared the war against the US and its allies. What happened next? The Axis powers, at the very start, they strategically were gaining the control of the lands in 1941. But after the 1941, the situation changed. What happens that their advances were impeded by the US Navy at Battle of Midway. After that, we will see that what happened in with the three of these nations, with the three of these Axis powers. Here you can see that Italy. What happened in Italy, that Italy suffered from defeat in North Africa and Balkans region because the capital of the Italy, Sicily, was invaded by the Allied countries. So at the ultimately the Italy surrendered, and his president Benito Mussolini was publicly executed. With the Germany, what happened? Germany saw the defeat at the Eastern Front with the USSR against the Soviet Union. Germany saw the defeat, and what did the USSR fall the Berlin. Along with this, the Soviet Union is considered as the instrumental in this war, which killed the 76% of the German soldiers. Right? So all the Axis powers retreated on all fronts. Allied powers invaded German, and they controlled the territories. What happened with the Japan? Right? So with the Japan, the US dropped the nuclear bomb on the Hiroshima and Nagasaki because these are very industrial countries. These are industrial part, and therefore they were attacked by the bomb dropped by the US. So ultimately, what happened that the Axis countries, including Japan, Italy, and the Germany, lost that war, and the Allied countries won that war. If we look at the consequences of World War II, so there are certain consequences. Fall of British. After the World War II, British fall, and then the French Empire were fall, and the colonies demand independence. Shift in global politics. There is a dire and strategically, we can see the shift in global politics, and UN from the League of Nations was formed. We can say that after the 2 years, our Pakistan, hold its independence as well. So these are certain causes and consequences and events which took place in the World War II. Hope you understand. Thank you for watching this.